Good morning, good afternoon, and good day. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Parc'd podcast with Parc'd. We are down a member today. Naomi is not with us today as we discuss the Diriyah EP. We just have, in general, a lot of conflicting schedules, and this is the only way we could get it so the most of us were in one place at one given time. But as I said, we're going to be covering the Diriyah EP. We had 2 rounds, which means that we're 3 races into the season now. How quickly is that gone?
Literally.
Yeah, and then we have God knows how long until...
Yeah, now we have to wait so long.
March, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I've had
just
like
into it.
What, 2 F1 races? We'll have 3 F1 races. 2 F1 races before the next Formula E race.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, something like
Damn.
that.
But yeah, so we've all been discussing the 2 races that Diriyah held. Do we want to start with FP1?
Sure.
That would make the most logical sense. I also didn't get to see it. I was very busy this week because obviously instead of the race weekend, the 2 races being Friday, Saturday, it was obviously Saturday, Sunday. So I just... No. Did I say that the
It was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday.
I was gonna say, I was at work. That's why I didn't.
The races are Friday, Saturday, and not Saturday, Sunday. So,
I almost missed the race. I almost missed the race because I thought it was Saturday, Sunday, and then someone in our group chat was like, "Oh my god, what happened there?" And it was like about to start. I was like, "Fuck, I'm still at work. What do you mean? What happened?"
Yeah, well, I thought it was starting at like 8 p.m. our time, and then I was literally leaving off for work. I checked my phone, and they're like, "Hi, race is starting in 5 minutes." Like an hour prior, I was like, "Oh my god." Okay, well, I missed the race. I watched part of quali, but not much because I was editing last week's video at the same time. So, who wants to start us off with FP? I feel like Katie was probably the only person that watched it because Katie skived off of work last week.
I was very ill. Okay. So if any of these notes are wrong, it was because I was delirious because I was ill. So, it was just Formula E in Diriyah. I feel like every year they make the same comment about the track, and every year it's the same thing. There's so much like dust and sand on the track, so the cars were just slipping and sliding. It was honestly like they got a slip and slide and some soap and put the cars on it. They were just going around the corners. There was no traction whatsoever. Yeah, can you tell that I went very detailed at the start of the notes, and then the notes carry on going, and then not. Basically, there's going to be a recurring theme this weekend when I say the name Sebastian Buemi.
Oh gosh.
This man is a terror when it comes to practice and quali.
Yep.
A terror. To be fair, he didn't put it in the wall. He just stopped in the middle of the track because the car broke. Yeah.
Poor Buemi.
The thing is it was like sort of part of the track where it was so dangerous. It was, I don't know what corners it was. Oh, Temple.
Yeah, it says, yeah.
But it's you know where it sort of like does the little sort of, almost a chicane.
Yeah.
It was on the exit of like the end of the chicane, so it was like everyone's going in there really quickly, and he was just parked in the middle.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
But his car lost power, so they obviously had to recover that. So they red flagged. I didn't mean to.
Another red flag.
Yep. Red flag.
Another weekend, another red flag.
Red flag.
We need to have a red flag tally. How many red flags did we have last week?
I think 1 or 2, maybe.
We'll have to go back and look and
at least 1.
I think it was 2.
Formula E red flag tally.
Yeah. But yeah, they red flagged it, and in Formula E, when they red flag like a session or something, the time carries on, unless it's like a really, really big one. Then they may pause the time, but for this one, they kept the time running, and then a minute left to the end. They added 12 minutes, so took it back up to the original time that was left in the session, and they ran, and everyone was pretty calm after that. It was just a lot of testing set up for the first practice. But FP1 top 5 was Roland, Bern, Van Dorn, Dennis, and Sette Camera.
Sette Camera.
I think Sette Camera was the biggest shocker of the entire weekend.
Honestly, yes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Good, but crazy.
Yeah, as we go more into the weekend, if you didn't watch the weekend, you'll find out more about why Sette Camera was such a star this weekend. But I was very impressed, especially for a guy that last week couldn't drive because his car couldn't get to the track.
Yeah, it's basically his first
FE of the season.
Yeah.
Slay.
But also another note on FP1 and FP2 really, the McLarens are nowhere. I don't know what, and to be fair, the Porsches aren't, well, one of the Porsches is doing well. The other one...
Talk to me about it. Heartbreaking.
I don't know what's going on.
I love Porsche. I will ride at dawn for Porsche. They're my guys over there. However, I don't know what it is in the past few years. They have not been able to make two competent cars in F1. FE.
F1.
Spoilers!
Porsche's coming back to F1, guys.
In Formula E, there's always one car that does really, really well and one car that just doesn't. Yeah. But it's also very similar, if not the same, in WEC as well. But also, if you see their cars that they can develop in IMSA compared to what they develop in WEC, they seem to always nail one on their head in perfection and then one just not so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens to ruin my life.
Yep.
FP2, I have the same point as FP1. Didn't matter that the cars had been out for, was it an hour? How long was practice? An hour?
I'm not sure.
Or is it 45 minutes? That seems to ring a bell. I think it's 45 minutes. But either way, they'd been out for FP1 and the track was still really, really slippery because of dust. But when they were commentating, they were saying it's two things. So it's obviously the sand from the desert, the wind's blowing sand onto the track, but they've also got tons of building work around the track.
Right.
So the dust from the building work's just settling on the track and causing carnage. However, the track did evolve very quickly this session, and times were reflecting it. They were just going so much faster. I think the first couple of lap time people were setting were faster than Roland's time in FP1, so it was evolving very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very chill session, not anything sort of too notable.
Nothing
a lot of
to
people were just
about.
running off. No, nothing to find home about. Everyone was just struggling with braking and going wide. I think it was 18. I think the corner where attack mode was.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think that's 18. Yeah. But FP2 was top 5 was NATO, Gunter, Dennis, Buemi, and Evans. Somehow Buemi made it into the top 4.
Literally, I was looking at it.
As he should. I'm going to ride it on for Sebastian Buemi this year. I've realised I'm becoming more and more like Sebastian Buemi in so many aspects.
What is going on here?
Do whatever it takes to get where you need to be. Even if that means taking out your friends in the process. I promise I'm not going to kill you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Anyway, qualifying time.
Anyway,
let's see how Sebastian Buemi did this time.
Not good. Didn't do well.
For God's sake. Look, I thought, you know, getting onto his side would mean I finally have a peaceful Formula E race weekend.
Nope.
Because Nick is in the Mahindra, so that answers that one. Antonio Felix da Costa is in the dying Porsche car.
I was gonna say whatever you can call that, because it's not a car.
And Stoffel Van Dorn just constantly missing out every single time. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'll get some joy in our sweepstake that we got going on. And I always pull terrible drivers, so I'm just having a miserable time supporting 5 drivers on the grid that are nowhere near the top.
At least you got some points in the sweepstake.
So do you.
1. I have 1.
You got 6. You're 2 points
got
behind me.
I just
Oh.
went over the sweepstakes
Slay.
because I had Vern for round 3. Not for round. If I had Vern for round 2, I'd be fucking flying. I'd be flying on that sweepstake.
I had the same with Sasha. I had Sasha the one race he didn't do. Well, I had Sasha the race he didn't do anything, and then the race he did do something. I didn't have him. And I was like,
I think I had Roland for race 1, and I wish I had him. Was it for race 2?
Yeah.
Round? Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
Group A. Oh, Brit boy Jake Hughes. He's doing really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Bearing in mind that McLaren is a shit box at the moment.
true.
He is doing really good. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm gonna say, but this is just me backing him up, because what I'm gonna say is and be like, that's not good driving. But he clipped the wall on his first fast lap attempt, and then on his second round he made another mistake, so he didn't really set a fast time lap to go through to the duels. Didn't make it through to the duels. The rest of it was just normal, well, I'd say normal qualifying traffic. It's such it's really thin at points, so no one can get round, and they're just backing up, so they have the space. It's a bit like qualifying in any sort of motorsport, like you want the space, but
Which
traffic.
race is it that always balls is up? I can see it in my head and I can't picture the track. They come down that way and they go bloop, bloop. Monza? The track where Max Verstappen parked his car on top of Lewis Hamilton.
That is Monza, yes.
Yeah, that one. Where no one will go
The
out
track
onto
where
that
Pierre
fucking...
Gasly got his first win.
That qualifying session where they would just refuse every single time to go out first.
Yeah.
It's even worse in F3 and F2. It's fucking
Yeah.
mess.
So just picture that, but in Formula E for once.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be chaos.
When the cars are fatter and crunchier and will happily drive into one another. They don't care, because if they drive into one another, it doesn't technically mean end of the race for them. It just means you got a little bit of damage, but you'll probably still be a bit faster than some of the other guys.
Cassidy, Dennis, Verline and Evans all went through to the duels, which, to be fair, those were sort of, if you'd pick names at the start of it to go through, those would be sort of the 4 names that you'd guarantee are going to go through. Group B, everyone waited until last minute to get a lap in, so there was major traffic. I think Antonio was the last, if I'm not getting the qualifyings mixed up, Antonio was the last one to go through, and I think he crossed the line with sort of like 3 or 4 seconds left on the clock.
Christ.
Because everyone was backing up and then just like taking it really slow, and I was like, he's not going to make it over the line.
I don't know what
but he did.
time would have been better for him. Not making it, or whatever that car could push out of him.
Yeah.
Probably not saying a time would have been quicker.
Yeah. Major people: Mr. Jules, Van Dorn, Bird, Buemi, and Da Costa.
Not Buemi.
Yeah, I know, Buemi, your favourite. But the 4 that went through from Group B was Vern, Sette Camera, Gunther, and Norman Nato.
Is this another time to bring
Sette.
back the point where Sette Camera was a star boy this weekend?
Yes.
Exactly. Did you see what I mean by like qualifying looks really long from how I've put it out?
No, you did it sensibly. You've gone Group A, Group B, and then the quarters, and the semis, then the finale. And some facts! I fucking love facts.
So the quarterfinals, first duel was Dennis versus Verline. Dennis won. Second duel was Evans versus Cassidy. Evans won. Sette Camera versus Gunter. Sette Camera won. And Norman Nato versus Vern was the last quarter, with Vern winning. The semi-finals, it was Dennis versus Evans, which is always drama filled.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Evans won.
As
Love
boy.
Mitchie.
Mitchie over Jake Dennis any day.
Oh, any day. Easy.
And then Vern versus Sette Hammer, which made my heart break because Vern won.
But you love Jean-Eric Verne.
No, because my thing is I had Sette Hammer on my sweepstake for round 2. Vern was my round 3, so I was like, "What is this?" And then final was Evans versus Vern, and Vern won, so he got pole position. Some fun facts. I'll give you some fun facts. It was DS Penske's first pole since Sao Paulo in 2022. I think I meant to put 2022 next to it. It was Vern's first pole since Jakarta in 2022, and it was Jean-Eric Verne's 16th pole position, so he is now level on all-time career poles with Sebastian Buemi.
Buemi!
To be fair, if you look at any of the records in Formula 8, I'm pretty sure the majority of them are owned by Jeff.
Yeah.
It would make sense as the
sure.
only 2-time Formula E champion.
Yeah, he's been in forever as well.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
he's been
since the
since
start.
the start, yeah.
Yeah, since the start.
There's only a few that have been from the start, though, I think, that are left.
Yeah, I think it's him. And then, is Buemi there since the start?
I want to say so, yeah. Jean-Eric
Think
Verne,
so.
Buemi, Lucas de Grassi's been there from
Yeah, the
day one.
crossing.
Bird had that record, didn't he? That he'd done every single race weekend.
Yeah,
They
it's
broke his
some
back.
Yeah.
Sam Bird, Buemi, Di Grassi, and Jeff.
Nice.
Oh, and Da Costa as well.
Oh,
Costa is-
Antonio! Oh, sorry, Antonio.
Antonio.
Sorry,
Very
Antonio.
funny.
He's an OG as well.
Bless
He's
him
the
so.
OG. He
Yes.
is the OG.
Out of all of those drivers, only one of them has been a repeat winner at the Diriyah E-Prix. Can you guess which one?
No.
Wait, out of all the ones in like the duels?
No, the out of the so Celeste obviously just listed off the
OGs.
5 drivers who have been there
Yeah.
since the beginning. Only one of them is a repeat winner at the Diriyah E-Prix. Can you guess which one?
Degrassi?
Wait,
Been a
you
while.
spoke at the same time. You said Degrassi. Who did you say?
I don't know.
Pick a name. You got 5 to pick from. It's an easy bet.
Da
Got a one in-
Costa.
No, God, you guys are.
I know, because I said I didn't know.
If I give you the fact that the first race he won was in 2019, does that help?
No.
If I tell you the second race he won was in 2021, does that help?
Just tell us who it is.
Stop.
Huh?
Stop.
Stuff haven't been there from the beginning though.
No, he's not an OG.
No, in the nicest possible way, I zoned out when Celeste was reading the names from the beginning, so I have no clue what
Wait, we've got Jean-Eric Verne, Lucas de Grassi, Antonio Felix da Costa, Sam Bird, and Buemi.
Buemi.
Not gonna be Buemi, is it?
No, I forgot the fact that he was even one of the people that started from the beginning, so that was evidence that it wasn't him.
Alright, Sunbird.
There we go.
Oh,
Sam
there we
Bird. He is joint with 2 other drivers though, so there's 3 drivers who have all won multiple Diriyah E-Prix. Sam Bird being one of them. Pascal Wehrlein won both races in 2023. And Nick de Vries won race 1 in both 2021 and 2022. Can you guess who the others are? You've got 1, 2, 3 to guess.
I didn't know this was a quiz all of a sudden.
Ignoring the 2 that won in 2024, because we haven't got to the race yet. Can't be spoiling things for people. 2018 was won by the one name you all think of the second you think of Formula E.
Antonio.
There we go. Why did you look so confused?
I don't get what's going on.
I was so scared. I
am confused.
My favourite pastime is putting you guys on the spot. You have Alexander Sims, also one, Simsy. And then Edo Mortara as well. And apart from that, up until from 2018 to 2023, the rest are obviously duplicates.
Edo Mortara has beautiful eyes.
Stop fighting with Edo Mortara, please. This is a professional setting.
With Jerome D'Ambrosio.
No! He actually finished 3rd place at the 2018 Diriyah EP.
Sly.
I have the statistics up for the Diriyah EP. Don't mind me.
Oh, you wouldn't say.
No, actually, I know this all from like the top of my head.
Oh.
So, right at the start, as they become, I don't know. No, it was before the formation lap. It was when they were all lining. No, it was after. Oh, I can't remember. I told you I was ill. After the formation lap, they were all lining up onto the grid, obviously, doing their burnouts. And Cassidy had a power issue. They didn't say what it was, but he had some sort of power issue right at the start. He was on the radio, very scared and very worried. Basically shouted at the team, going to sort it out. As we're going to go through the rest of the race, it didn't really have that much of an impact on him, so they must have sorted it out. We've gone on and on about Sette Camera for this race because he had a fly-in Friday.
Oh,
Flying Friday, okay.
Katie's noting that down for when she writes the article.
Like,
Sojo Sette Camera's Flying Friday.
He had an insane start. He was starting from 4th, I believe. Yeah, I think he started from 4th. But he was battling. He knew that sort of like the car shouldn't really be up that end of the grid from how it's been performing before. But he stuck his elbows out and did insane. There was double yellow flag on lap 1, turns 3 and 4. So that little chicane I mentioned earlier. Fenestrez had a broken front right suspension and had to retire from the race.
Crying.
Very sad. Yeah.
My boy, and my sweepstake boy.
I love Sasha. He's such a gem.
The most entertainment on this race wasn't P1. P1 just flew. It was very Formula 1. P1 was just... There was no point in the cameras being on there. It just wasn't. It was just dominance in that sense. So the drama was from about 2nd place to 6th place. They were having an actual fist fight trying to get these positions. Jev and Evans had contact. So Evans took attack mode as Jev was coming around the corner. And I'm not going to lie, Jev may or may not have just gone slightly too far and pushed Mitch back into the wall.
I think some people blamed Mitch. Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
Think that it had like the track was. He was like sliding.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like an intentional. I just don't. Think he had control of the car.
Yeah.
It was Bern's fault, I think.
I think so as well.
The next point is contact between Jev and Evans again.
They were fighting.
The boys, yeah. The boys were carnage.
The girls are fighting.
Jeff took P2 though with that move, so there was contact, but he took his P2 back.
So you're telling me he crashed into Mitch twice and still got position?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Tactic.
Good driving.
Interesting tactic.
Sure.
But it worked.
And he didn't get a penalty?
Nope.
The other drivers should start making some notes.
No, because from what I remembered, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think Mitch was under investigation for that first incident.
I don't know whether it's the first one or the second one. To be fair, Evans was just, I don't know what he was doing, but he was like making moves under braking, which you're not allowed to do.
I mean, it was,
The driver's cool down, like they sit there afterwards and they like, highlights of the race. Robin Fry's he was like, you can't do that. Disqualify, get rid of him for the rest of the season.
The rest of the season, Christ!
Oh, is that what that was about? I was watching that video and I was like, who is he trying to get disqualified from the rest of the season?
And this should be investigated, no?
That's a late move, isn't it?
It's too late, come on. You cannot do that under braking.
Super late.
Should be disqualified for the season. Always more, yeah.
Mitch made a move very late under braking.
Oh,
I think it was that last corner the last lap. Spoiler, but yeah, he made a move and completely fucked up the corner. And,
I mean, I think Mitch was just very unhinged.
Yeah, Nick Cassidy lost half of his front wing. He made contact with Bird taking attack mode, which is why we love attack mode, because the contact.
The chaos.
If there's going to be drama, it's going to be around attack mode.
well,
Like
from what we were talking about the other day. Yes, this can be said because your TikTok will already be out by then. Attack mode's meant to be staying alongside of charging or something.
Good.
So like,
yeah, it's said that if you have to sort of unlock your attack mode by doing your attack charge first, and then in the second part of the race you can use your attack modes, but that's only if you've used your attack charge. That's what's been said, but it's not officially confirmed. It is unofficially confirmed. I don't know. That formally is not really talking about it a lot.
In London specifically, the drama was either when they're going back into the indoor section, coming out the indoor section, or on attack mode. That's why the best, like, we loved sitting in those outdoor grandstands looking over attack mode, was because if any of the drama was going to happen, it's because the boys will not let someone who's done attack mode like, back without putting
it's just sort of like you have to overtake, but no one wants to let you overtake, especially as the field is that close, which normally with FE the field is close. The attack mode always like makes up for something interesting happening.
We've had it might not just be the first, but I know it's the first that I've noticed. First case of infighting at Jaguar. Interesting. You can't put two championship rivals from the previous season into the same team and not expect them to like have problems.
But
like,
they're
it was a
both
bit chaotic.
representing New Zealand.
The thing is that Nick Cassidy was doing just a strategy brilliance. Like, what he was thinking in his head, it worked. Like, what he was saying made sense. Mitch just didn't want to give the place up because he didn't trust that Cassidy would give back the place. But all he wanted was to be able to do his attack mode and still still keep his position. And Mitch was going slowly anyway, but even before Nick took his attack mode, Mitch was slowing down. So Cassidy was gaining anyway. So it was like, but yeah, the next point was Nick Cassidy's strategic brilliance. He did insane. And then I'm pretty sure it's the second to last corner of the race.
Before
Mitch Evans made a very late move under braking and ran off the track. And
at first, when I saw it, I thought it was like a brake failure. I was like, what is happening with that car? He just... I don't know.
He lost his P3, ended up, I think he finished P5 in the end. Yeah, P5.
Yeah, P5.
And Nick Cassidy, in all of his jammy brilliance, got the third place.
GG, honestly.
So he'd done all the work, all the strategies to get both of them in a P3, P4 position. And then Mitch was like, no, I want that P2. And fucked it up.
So
Nick was like, okay, I'll take the podium. Don't mind me.
You're telling me Mitch was running well, was about to finish P3, fucked it up all by himself, and Robin Friend still wants him disqualified from the entire season.
Yes.
Fair play. It's like there's one less person on the podium. So, like, top 5, the round 2 race was Jake Dennis won, which I feel like I haven't mentioned him winning, but that was because of how far ahead he was and how boring he was. Just it was just.
Why do I feel like
Max just stuck in a Formula E?
I feel like
It
I
was
saw
just
somewhere
boring.
that he won by 13 seconds. Was it on the Formula E
Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
page?
It was one of those races where like the midfield was way more exciting than the actual race win, which normally with FE doesn't happen, but I think this time it was really
It was sort of like it
clear.
was a race from second, to sort of like 6th or 7th. That was the race.
Yeah.
Maybe I imagined
Wait.
it.
When we get to round 3, it's quite interesting that I preferred round 3. That race I found more entertaining than round 2.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because it was so much more competitive.
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
Funny enough, we'll cover why. There's a reason why it was a lot more competitive. It's hilarious. But yeah, my only sort of comment was that first place beginning to feel like F1 and there was no competition.
Yeah, bar the midfield, the race. It was. I think it was an okay race if you like kept track of the whole chaos around like Mitch and Cassidy and the whole midfield. It was a good race. It's just a shame that we didn't really see a fight for the win.
Yeah. FP3. Don't look at me. I didn't watch FP3.
I was working again the whole full day. I've
Katie,
just
we
watched the race.
can't help it if we work and you Skype. We can't help it if we
I was
work
on
and
track,
you're
though.
Thank
sick.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, that's better. To be fair, I'm pretty sure I was at hockey, so I didn't watch it either.
Oh
Just
yeah, because you
run
said
through
this
the
last
night.
night. Yeah, literally
Yeah.
it was a rundown of... Because I was on call with Katie when she was getting the answers for what happened in FD3. She was like, oh, nothing really happened. She was like, just Dan Tickton going wide at 10:18. So it sounds about right.
What if I spelled Brian's wrong?
Yeah, Fridgemus does the same thing. And then I just remember you going, oh! And I was like, what? She was like, Stoff's under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. And I was like, clearly nothing happened with it, Katie. We've seen the race.
But yeah, that was basically FP3.
Not much.
Dan Tickton went wide at 10:18, which again has been where everyone's been going wide. Brian's did the same thing, and Stoffel Van Dorn was under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. But yeah, I gather nothing came of it.
No,
I
I
feel
don't
like
think
we'd
so.
have
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But FP3 results was Evans, Byrne, Gunther, Roland, and Dennis. Which Gunther seems to be setting times in like the practice sessions and then just not doing anything with it.
Yeah. Like
I say that. Okay, round 1, I'll give him his due. He finished 4th.
yeah, he just lost
fourth?
out.
Yeah.
He was running second for most of it, I'm pretty sure. And then started getting overtaken here, there, and everywhere. It's almost like the Maserati can drive sometimes when it feels like it.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, when it wants to.
But it's the same as that ERT. Like, look at Sette camera. That thing can drive so well sometimes, and then it goes, nope, sorry, not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
Finished for the day, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, that's me done. I've done my part. Qualifying. This was interesting. This was very interesting. For Group A, traffic was an issue towards the end of the session. Drivers obviously want to go out as late as possible so they can set a faster times, but they can also see what times other people are setting and sort of know when to push or not. Because you don't want to go full out if other drivers aren't setting fast times, because then you're risking putting it in the wall. Host of favourites were knocked out. Berline, Evans, and DaCosta didn't go through, which
So crazy.
Yeah, Berline's obviously championship leader at this point at the moment. Evans was doing so well yesterday, so it was shocking. But the 4 through to the duels was Fenestras, Brines, Byrne, and Van Dorn.
Go Staff!
So Go Staff did very well. Group B. So saying on about people going really fast and then binning it into the wall. I give you Sebastian Buemi.
100% to you.
Sebastian Buemi decided that he didn't want to drive anymore and wanted to find a nice comfy spot in the wall.
Valid. Maybe it was
bored. He had very bad damage to his front wing and suspension, so at the time of qualifying it was questionable whether they were going to get the car fixed for the race.
Maybe that was his plan all along.
I think smarter. Not harder.
Go home early, get into your nice bed, chill out.
Exactly. Because of the damage, they did red flag the session and didn't continue it. So, laps ruined for Sandberg and, drumroll please, Jake Dennis. Sorry, I shouldn't celebrate.
It's one of those things where when you have 2 rounds on a week, 2 races on a weekend, so 1 round holds 2 races, the last thing you want is the same driver to win both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's purposely set out, so if you've got 2 for newbies here in Formula E, if you've got a double header weekend, the 2 races aren't laid out the same. They'll both have different lap times. So one had 37 and one had 36, I think, this week. Because it's to allow for 2 completely different strategies to occur across the weekend, so that one day's strategy isn't the same as the next day's strategy, because you're forced to change it up. And then you can't use race 1 as like a practice strategy for race 2 for the weekend.
Yeah.
So notably still normally in your qualifying sessions, as Jake Dennis showed in London, he won both races, I believe, last year. That, you know, it's kind of gets a little repetitive if you're watching one race week and you're like, oh wow, I've got 2 different races, and the same person wins twice. So it's quite difficult, I'd say, to climb up through a Formula E grid, because none of those cars are willing to budge.
Yeah.
And they would much rather drive into the side of you while you're trying to pass than let you pass.
Yeah.
So if you have like the race winner from the previous race starting lower down the grid, it just makes the next race more entertaining, because you know that car has the speed to be able to win that race. It just depends if they can get out of the position they're at. So it's quite nice. I personally, even if it's my own drivers, like seeing them starting lower on race 2 or vice versa, just because it gives a nice different mix to the measure.
To be fair, I think if there wasn't a red flag, he probably would have been comfortably through. But he just hadn't set a fast enough time. Waiting until the last minute, and sort of all the ones that sort of, I don't want to say no that they're not going through, because they obviously all want to race to get through to the duels, but I think sometimes the drivers understand that their cars
aren't good enough
on the grid. But they'd obviously set their times anyway to try and battle for the lower positions. And luck was on their side, because the red flag meant that their times were fast enough. So Oliver Rowland, Nick Cassidy, Jake Hughes, and a very surprising name going through to the duels was Johan Deruvla.
Yeah, crazy.
Rookie. But again, he'd set a lap time when others hadn't set a lap time, so
think smart, not hard.
Yeah. Quarterfinals for qualifying, it was Vern. So my sweepstake boy, Vern versus Franz. Franz won. Fenestras versus Van Dorn. Stoff, baby boy won. Nick Hughes versus Cassidy.
Who?
Cassidy won.
Who?
Who did I say?
Nick
Nick.
Hughes.
Nick Hughes.
Nick Hughes and Cassidy.
I still don't think I'm wow.
Nick. Maybe from Nick.
Around, yeah, but there's nothing around there.
No, I know. I think your brain just.
To be fair, that's how his weekend went. There's sort of not
Nick
one.
Hughes?
No, Nick DeVry.
What? Oh, no. Yeah, no, sorry. Oh.
Yeah,
I know.
It was a document, so I don't know where I got Nick from.
Probably Nick Cassidy.
Yeah.
See, when you said Nick DeVries, I was like, who the fuck is Nick DeVries? Because I'm so used to calling him Nick DeVries, because obviously that's the Dutch pronunciation, and he's Dutch.
Okay?
So I just pronounce him as Nick, because she's had a go at me. Frisian.
I thought it was from Friesland.
She's given me enough hassle about how it's Nick, not Nick. It's Nick, not Nick. It's not Nick. Nick's not a Dutch name. Nick is the Dutch name that I always refer to now as Nick DeVries. So when they're on the commentary or anyone else is like Nick DeVries, I'm like, who? I'm like, oh, Nick, because I've established them as two different names when Nick is just the Dutch variant of Nick.
I've realised now why I said Nick, because I was reading Cassidy's name before I'd actually read out Hughes.
Yeah, I assumed that's what you would have done.
Yeah. Right.
Well done, Nick Hughes, for not making it through to the quarters.
Jake Hughes versus Nick Cassidy. Cassidy won. And then it was Roland versus Deruvula, and Roland won. In the semis, it was Friends versus Van Dorn. Robin Friends won that. And it was Cassidy versus Roland. And I think this was the upset of quali. Not saying that the Nissan isn't like good, because it's proved that it's okay, but Cassidy is like the Jaguar is obviously one of the favourites to go through, and Roland won the duel.
I was so happy to see Oliver Roland.
Yeah. I think he's a really good driver, and he's just like is biding his time. Like the car's actually shown that it's good this season so far. So I'm hopeful for the rest of the season, because I think he could do really well. And then in the final it was Friends versus Oliver Roland, and Oliver Roland got pole.
He looked so happy with his little trophy. Yeah. Oh, I thought I could cry. It's been so long. Obviously, last season he had such a rough time. Obviously, leaving midway through the season from Mahindra. I think most people were kind of like, is he going to come back next season? Is he not? Why did he leave Mahindra? Because he didn't really give word on why he left Mahindra. He just went, it's not working, and boop, disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, is he going to come back? Is he isn't? And then obviously he joined Nissan, and it was kind of like, oh, are Nissan going to be good this year or not? Because they've always been kind of like, doop doop, like last year. But to see him with his little pole position trophy is just proof that if you just patiently wait, life will reward you. I watched this somewhat.
Cool.
I had
you go.
Whoa, she can help. Whichever side she is, this side I think.
I can help you out.
You watched this one as well, didn't you?
I watched it, but I was doing 5 things at the time, so...
I was at my family's house watching it on my phone on like really low volume. We've classified already that Boemi did not start, didn't we?
We
didn't. Yeah, it was questionable.
Oh, well, he didn't start.
He didn't.
His car was way too damaged, and it couldn't be fixed between the qualifying and the race time. It's not like F1 where they have like a night time to sort it. They have like a few hours.
Yeah.
A couple hours, get it together. Way too damaged. So Sebastian Buemi did not partake in the final race. Contact between. So I have to go off of Katie's notes here. So I have the memory of a goldfish. So this could be interesting.
You have the memory of a goldfish, but you can name every Formula 1 world champion since the start of Formula 1.
Yes, but don't test me on it right now because I haven't practiced it in a month and I'm a bit rusty.
Fair.
Yes, contact between many cars in turn 2. A lot of shit went down in turn 2 all of the time. They're literally what you would call bumper cars for the most part. These.
Bumper car.
It's like if you ever got in a bumper car at like a fairground or whatever and was like, I wish they'd make racing with this. They have. It's called Formula E. But they don't go boink, they go crunch.
Crunch.
Yeah, Dan Ticktum. Right. So, this okay, so obviously it says Dan Tickton pits for front wing damage, which he does, but he remained in the pit for a large majority of the race.
Yeah. I thought he would just DNF.
I assumed it was just a DNF, and I was like, why is it not coming up as a DNF? He must be sat in the pit lane, don't know whether they're doing checks or something. But it was for a good few laps he was in there. And then he randomly, miraculously appeared again. Like, quite a while away. I was like, hello, where have you come from?
Yeah.
And then later in the race, he got back into the pitch and I think DNF'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tickton pitted
was
2 laps towards the end, 1 lap down.
Oh yeah, it's so. I mean, I had a sport radio on and he seemed pretty annoyed and he was like, what's even the point? So I don't really know if there was so much damage on the car that it was just undrivable, but...
I feel like one of these days we need to watch an FE race with a Dan Tickton bingo card.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes.
This is a shit box. Everyone else can't drive.
Dan's made it clear since before the season even started that he was already not happy with the car, so this does not shock me.
No.
And Sergio Sette started quite high up again in this race, but finished
he fell down very quickly at one point. Yeah,
Sergio Sette dropping quickly halfway through the race. Like, he was up here, then next thing you know, he was down here.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure he either pitted, DNF'd in the race. He disappeared quite, quickly. No, he finished 18th.
I think he did fit, but he just dropped back.
How many drivers DNF?
3 retired, 1 didn't start.
Okay, so because then Dan was last, 19th, so technically he finished last of the running cars.
Yeah, he finished last of the running cars, So, what happened there, we don't know. They didn't really specify. Just Sergio went from star boy of the weekend to all the way down here. Still my star boy of the weekend, driver of the weekend for me.
Yeah.
But
it just shows how that car is just... It's there or it's not at all, but there's no in between.
It doesn't feel like it's race ready.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, really sorry to have to say this, Celeste. Kind of like the Ferrari in the sense that it can put in good qualifying laps.
Can you please specify which Ferrari? Because we just won the 24 hours of Daytona, but...
Yeah, you won your class in the 24 hours of Daytona. Porsche actually won the overall 24 hours of Daytona altogether. Sorry. Anyway, your Ferrari F1 car.
The F1 car, that is a disaster.
But they do really, really well in qualifying, or can do really, really well in qualifying, notably by Charles Leclerc's amount of pole positions. If you compare it to, I'm really sorry to have to say this, his race wins.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And it's all to do with, for some reason, that Ferrari car seems quali ready, and it just doesn't replicate into race pace. And I think that's what ERT are having at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Who's emailing me? Obviously, with Sergio Sette this weekend, being able to do really, really quite well in qualifying, and then not very well in the race.
Yeah, they just can't keep up with the overall pace in the race.
Yeah, Dan Tickton, as much as I hate to say it, has really been nowhere this season, which does make me sad because I do really, really like Dan Tickton as a driver.
Same. I think he's a very, very good driver. It's just he needs a good car as well. Yeah,
and he knew from the get-go that he was not getting on with this car, so I don't know what or where or if ERT are doing anything right now towards it, or whether we are going to have a Dan Tickton having his Oliver Rowland moment later on in the year. Now, see, I don't remember this. Friends overusing power in lap 14.
I honestly don't remember it either.
It was like a comment that obviously the commentators said. They were like, Franz is on the radio, his team were on the radio telling him to calm down because he was overusing, which is understandable because he was right up the top and he was chasing. But I'm pretty sure at that point he hadn't taken attack mode, or had used attack mode or something, but the others had attack mode, so he was trying to keep up.
Obviously
overusing. but I know that it didn't come up as like a graphic. It was purely.
That's probably why I don't
comment.
remember it. I had it quite low. And then, as Katie mentioned earlier, McLaren have been something this year. You will go from placing really high up in qualify to just everything being, I'd say, above average. I wouldn't say they're below average, but, you know, they haven't been the spectacle that Mercedes EQ were permitting. They obviously
no, not at all.
But they haven't been awful for a team that's only in its second year. However, they did have a DNF during the race when Sam Bird hit the wall and got front suspension damage and had to retire from the race. Sad. I love Sam Bird. Quite rocking the bleached hair we've got going on at the moment.
Oh god!
I don't know why, but it is quite something.
I'm hoping. I don't actually remember why.
TikTok.
Oh god.
The Brooklyn Nine-Nine TikTok. It's just him peeking out, and I'm like, hey.
But I don't actually remember whether it was Bird's fault, the car's fault. It was probably a mixture of both.
Looking back at the highlights, they haven't reported that it was contact with anyone. I don't know how he's done it, but they just said that he's hit the wall and he's come into the pits on his own, and they've retired the car.
Yeah, because that was one driver that got into an incident and managed to get his car back to the garage, but there was one driver who wasn't able to get his car back to the garage, which meant that we had a full course yellow during lap 27, and that was the man we were hyping up earlier, Jehan Deruvala, who had a mega qualifying, managed to lock up and just go straight off track, wasn't able to get it back to the pits. So full course yellow, which meant that the grid got a little bit more bunched up, but it also meant that no one could overtake. Talking to you, Jake Dennis and Mitch Evans, who both went under investigation for overtaking under yellows. I'm pretty sure, did anything occur with that? Because I'm 99.9% sure.
Evans didn't get anything, but Jake Dennis got 5 seconds.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure one of them, I think it was Mitch, when the full course yellows came out, Mitch was going past the attack mode and another driver was taking attack mode at the time. So when the yellows came out, Mitch Evans technically overtook the driver. That's because the driver was in attack mode and Mitch obviously couldn't just stop on the track to let that driver ahead. Yeah. And I think that's why Mitch ended up getting away with that. I'm pretty sure that was the situation that occurred there. I remember them saying something along the lines of, like, on the commentary, that surely Mitch shouldn't get anything for that because it was an attack mode situation and there was nothing he could have done in that situation. But naughty. No overtaking under yellows. Rule number 1, basically.
Yeah.
Make that rule number 2. Rule number 1. If you are going for a championship, do not drive near Sebastian Buemi.
Christ.
If I had a nickel for every time Sebastian Buemi took out the championship runner and stopped them from winning the championship, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. But in amongst all that chaos, with Robin Vriens nearly overusing all of his power before the end of the race, and a McLaren, disaster, we actually had Nick Cassidy go on to win the race. Robin Vriens finished second, so clearly whatever tactic he was on was the correct one. Oliver Rowland, who started on pole position, finished P3. So it was so good to see him back on the podium as well. Jake Hughes managed to bring home a good points haul for McLaren, finishing P4.
Very good.
And in P5, my favourite part of the entire weekend, Stoffel Van Dorn. Finally, we're getting somewhere, okay? We're getting somewhere with that car. It's just a joyous day. Katie put on here that Nick Cassidy has in fact been on all podiums in the 3 rounds that we've had. So, you know, so far this season, we haven't gone a podium without Nick Cassidy. It's his redemption era from last year.
Redemption.
He is out for revenge, okay? Input that Taylor Swift song. I'm just looking for revenge. And it's Nick Cassidy walking out into season 10, trying to get that world championship that he was...
There's your next TikTok. There's your next TikTok.
I can't say robbed, because Jake Dennis did also deserve the championship. I just can't think of another word. Like, Nick Cassidy could have very easily won that championship if his driver, if his teammate didn't take him out.
Yeah.
My fucking teammate.
It was important, that investigation with Jake Dennis, though, where he got 5 seconds. He actually then, so he finished 10th, I think, before the penalty, so had a point, and then because he got the 5-second penalty, finished, like, dropped down the order, so actually lost his point, so didn't score anything in the race because of the penalty.
Where are we at with championship standings now? Nick Cassidy obviously storming away with it currently, 57 points, 2 third places and a first. Great way to start a year. Pascal Wehrlein's currently sitting in second. Before this race, he was before this race weekend, he was obviously very much at the top after taking the first one of the season, but with a 7th and an 8th place finish, he is now down into second on 38 points, and close behind him on 33 points is Jean-Eric Verne. Mitch Evans is currently sat P5 behind Jake Dennis, who got our 2nd win of the season, and Maxi Gunther is currently sat at P6. So we have as well 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers who have 0 points. Okay, listen carefully. Edo Mortara, Nico Müller, Antonio Felix da Costa,
Don't even mention it.
Nick de Vries, Jehan Deruvala, Lucas de Grassi, and Dan Tickton.
So many heartbreaks in that.
Who do you think is going to score points first?
Da Costa. I have to back him up. Come on. He can do this. He can do this. Maybe not. Yeah, no.
I want Antonio to get the points first, but if I'm looking at it realistically from how that Porsche's driving.
Yeah, especially with Pascal Wehrlein taking only 7th and 8th in round 2 after a win.
Yeah.
The first. There's something going on in that Porsche garage. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, however you do this. I completely understand if you're just listening to us absolutely ramble in the background. We appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget to give the video a like and don't forget to subscribe. If you want a full written rundown of the Formula E race weekend, head over to our website. It
should be up by then.
Should be up by then. If it's not, just keep an eye out in the alternating days around this date. Head over to parcfem.co.uk where Katie will should hopefully have a written piece out for you, all things Diriyah E-Prix. If she's named it something to do with whatever we quoted earlier, I can't remember what it was now.
Flying Friday, then
you know she came up with it here and now. Make sure you go check out our Instagram account. It's parcfem_ for all of your racing results, which we need to put up because they haven't gone up this week, and all of your racing times and what's happening when. We keep all of that up to date over on our Instagram, including, letting you know when a new video is coming out and all little things in between. Feel free to go over to our TikTok as well, parcfem_. Everything's parcfem_, okay? Me and Celeste have been having a few little meetings and the TikTok account is coming back. We took a little break after New Year's because the Christmas period just really took us out, but more content. More content is coming soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and we will see you guys next week for a new video. Ciao bella.
Ciao bella.